Hello and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. We're back on this special Labor Day edition. It's a late night show. Hopefully you guys all had a chance, if you're in the US, to spend the holiday weekend with your friends and family. If you're not in the US, then it's already Tuesday for you, most likely. But we do appreciate you joining us on the show. I, of course, am Daniel. We'll have John on the show as always. Today we're talking about James Gunn basically giving us his opinions on what a Batman and Superman crossover should be called. And hint, it's not Batman v Superman. There's also big news potentially about our Hal Jordan in the DCU. Who is it going to be? They offered the role to somebody very high profile, an A-lister who's already been not one but two big characters in the world of the Marvel movies. So, would he make the jump to DC? We'll find out. And to talk about that and so much more, of course, as always, I've got with me John. How are you doing today? Oh, I think John, you're on a big delay here. All right, John. Well, while you work on that, let's get into the news. We're having some trouble here with John. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Oh, there he goes. All right. Well, you know what? Let's dive into it. John has had some internet issues today, so um, hopefully he will be back soon. But here's the first piece of news today. James Gunn was asked on social media, what would he call um, a new Batman and Superman crossover potentially? The question specifically in the article here was, "Hi, Mr. Gunn. In the hypothetical case that a movie starring only Batman and Superman teaming came out, what would you call it? Batman and Superman, or Batman and Superman? Oh, sorry, Superman and Batman, or Batman and Superman." Okay, I get it. Like, they're trying to do the two combination thing. But to that, James Gunn simply answered, uh, and again, James Gunn is so good at just dodging the bullet and being like, I got the right answer for you guys. So he just said, "Hey, a DCU Batman and Superman team up film would simply be called World's Finest." And you know what? That's a good name. That's a pretty good name. I'd like to think that. Um, I know it's a simple, easy answer. I know when I told John, he was like, "Let me guess," and he hadn't read the article yet. World's Finest, and I was like, "Yep, that's what James Gunn said." And why not? Because it is an aptly named title, as it would be. John, I think you're back. Let us know if you hear us. But yeah, and I think this was all started off because James Gunn posted a Labor Day photo on his Instagrams and wishing everybody had the world's finest
Um,
Labor Day. So I don't know if
I don't
James
know
Gunn
if
is
I'm
up to
coming in or not.
anything. We can hear
Hello.
you, John. I don't. Oh, you're in and out. It's like we got the show started and then John just dipped. Everything was going okay before, but guys, let us know in the comment. What do you think about the idea of James Gunn potentially pitching us a new Batman Superman movie? Is it going to be the crossover we all deserve? We've got El Cuarto Guardian. Is that how you pronounce your name? I don't know, man. I don't think we have seen you in the chat before. Um, but hello to you. John, are you here with us? Let us know if you can hear us. But we are talking about James Gunn's idea for a Batman or Superman movie. Do you
Yes, I'm
think this
having major
is?
tech problems. I feel like a ghost right now.
Yeah, you're just dipping in and out of the show, John. But yeah, I'll let
I guess
you work through that. But let me ask you guys in the comments what you guys think about this idea for this team up, because I personally would be excited to see it. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna see if I can find that original post from James Gunn, because I want to see what other comments we got on there. Um, he just knows how to. Oh wait, he post about Power Girl? Oh yeah, I see. Okay, here it is. Let's put this up. We've got this right here. Happy Labor Day. May you enjoy your time in the moment and connecting with loved ones. Have the world's finest Labor Day. And of course, you've also got Robin in there. So we know all three of these characters are going to be in the new DCU. What that equates to, are we going to get a crossover? We'll see. John, try to bring you back in here. Can you hear us? Let us know what's going on. And if you can, then give us your opinion because we'd love to hear what you have to say about this. This is a story we're going to get into tomorrow. We're not even going to touch that because, boy, there's too much to dive into regarding Peacemaker. In other news, James Gunn did post about this, which I'm like, is that Supergirl or is that Power
I don't know.
Girl?
Hey,
Man, I don't know what's going on here. John, maybe you should like just join with your audio only because I don't know if your internet connection is good enough to do a video and audio. We'll just have to imagine.
It's both.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it is.
both. It's
It is
Supergirl
both.
and Power Girl, by the way. Yes.
Okay, nice. Oh, I see. Okay. Do you think we're gonna get both of these characters in the
Both of
DC? We
them.
know we're getting Supergirl. Are we gonna get both?
Well, at
do
least
you
I
think?
have a very nice, avatar, Superman.
It's very
You know,
apt.
it works.
It's perfect for the occasion. We'll just have to pretend that John is
I
there.
hope
We'll
we
try
get
to
Power
like,
Girl. Power Girl is such a great
yeah.
character, but it's hard to like translate her because but yeah, Power Girl is a hard character to translate because she's from another Earth. I know multiverses are big right now, but like the way she goes, so I don't know how character.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they try to introduce whether it's as a parallel universe or if Power Girl also exists in the same universe as Supergirl. By the way, Koabunga in the comments in the live chat says Henry Cavill can't be Superman no more because he's old, but Thanos can play Green Lantern. Makes sense. I get the sarcasm. We're gonna let's you know what. Speaking of which, let's just dive into the main story of the day today, which is that Josh Brolin, John, he's been offered the role of Hal Jordan, and this is big news. So I want to get
Yes.
into it, and let's talk about it. Um, First of all, this is coming from the In Snyder. Jeff Snyder, he's kind of runs his own outlet. He's an insider, well, the In Snyder, if you will, who gets some pretty good scoops. He's right more often than not, and yet we do want to say take it with a slight pinch of salt. Nexus Point News, who also run the DC Film News social media accounts, they also reported on this. So it's a couple of different sources. They're saying that the role has been offered to Josh Brolin, who, of course, we previously saw as both Thanos and Cable in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and that Fox Marvel Universe, which I guess now exists in the same multiverse. So, going off the latest, Deadpool movie. But John, what do you think about the idea of basically Josh Brolin coming in and taking over the role of Hal Jordan, and kind of being the mentor to the younger John Stewart that they're going to introduce in the show? Oh, I think we lost you again, John. But we're going to try to get you back here. But guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this, because when I first saw this news,
Yeah, I
I
think
was
it's
like,
definitely an
yeah.
interesting case. I what the decent casting. Like,
It's a,
he's
it,
someone who's like slightly older, like
yeah.
and they want to like
We're,
Jon Stewart seems to be the more popular one anyway because the animated series is like the sort of Green Lantern like Jon Stewart really is, while Hal Jordan is kind of off doing his own thing.
yeah. I mean, look, when this
Yeah,
casting
I
was
guess.
first announced, like to me, what I was worried about it not cast. Okay, let's just take a step back. When this story was first came out, I was like, wait a second, I just saw him in this show Out of Range, right? And I look at that and I think, isn't he a little too old to be playing somebody in his 40s? Because that was the initial casting call. You want to get somebody who is in his 40s or something, like a little bit on the older side, kind of the similar age to what Ben Affleck's Batman was in the DCEU. But Josh Brolin seems like he's kind of moved on to playing roles much older than that these days. Um, he can, you shave off the beard and mustache. I mean, sure, that could probably shave off 5 to 10 years, and he can definitely play somebody in his 40s or maybe even 50s. I've kind of looked at this TV show, the Lanterns TV show, as sort of like the Men in Black, except maybe a little bit darker, version of a Men in Black, where you got like Tommy Lee Jones, like a senior agent mentoring Will Smith's younger agent. So, which would be ironic because then Josh Brolin plays the younger version of Tommy Lee Jones' character. So, if he does get cast in it, but anyway, the point is, I thought that this would be interesting casting. It's a good point brought up by Cowabunga because yeah, Henry Cavill can't be Superman anymore because he's old, but Thanos can play Green Lantern. It would be interesting, but I mean he's an A-list actor. Like you get Josh Brolin in your cinematic universe, and this wouldn't be a character that's necessarily a one and done.
It makes
So
sense.
you know. Oh, I think John, your audio is still really choppy. I don't know what's going on with your internet, but we've got Lex in the chat. It's today's voting day. What Lex? Whereabouts is voting day? Let us know in the chat. James is like, don't like it. Oh yeah, like remember, okay, voting for Superman suit. We will get into that, Lex. We will get into that. Yeah, 40 to 55 is the age, and Anson Mount is another good pick, Lex. So yeah, that's a good point. Um, and then yeah, it's James. Like I understand your concern, but let me know why. Why do you think this is a bad idea? Is it because he's too old? Do you think, or is it because you think he's not a good enough of an actor to make this happen? Let us know in the comments because I mean he's incredibly talented, and I'm like if you bring in an actor of his caliber to the cinematic universe, then you can't go wrong with casting somebody like him in any role, quite frankly. And Lantern, Green Lantern being the highest profile role that you've got to offer on your TV side right now, and clearly that character is going to transition onto the movies down the road. Why not? I mean, and he's been doing TV, right? Like he was on that Amazon Prime TV show, The Outer Range, just got
Yep.
canceled after 2 seasons, so he's no stranger to doing
Can you
TV.
see me okay now? Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I think you're
Am I
back.
choppy?
I think you're back,
Okay,
John.
because I had my hotspot on my phone because my Wi-Fi just wasn't working, but I
Yeah.
just undid my hotspot, and it looks like my proper Wi-Fi is working again. So
Hey, welcome
let's
back.
pray. Anyway, what I was trying to say before, with Josh Brolin, I understand with what they're going for here. They want to introduce a younger Superman so that he grows into the role, all that, and they're probably going to have a slightly more veteran Batman because they want to introduce Damian Wayne. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like kind of what they were doing with the DCEU, except he's not super veteran where he's like in his like mid to late 40s. He's like kind of veteran. It seems like they're going to do late 30s, early 40s. So, I feel like that's what, and then I feel like Jon Stewart is gonna fit into the Superman mold more. I feel like they're gonna have like a nice mix of people. Like that's why I think it makes sense to have Wally West, like to have
Right. Yeah.
not Barry Allen. Maybe Barry Allen. Maybe he isn't dead. Maybe he's just kind of retired and he's still living. It's not like he died in crisis type of thing that Barry Allen was for so many years. I think what they're gonna do is now gonna have like a whole bunch of like veterans, but then they're gonna like bring up the younger like characters and the younger because the thing is like people like Hal Jordan, even though he didn't get a proper sort of I feel like that's what I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but the brunt of what I'm saying is I think they're gonna have like kind of like a really bring up legacy heroes, especially if because I know there was a rumor like months ago, I think almost a year ago by now, where they were like, "Oh, Kingdom Come is going to be like the end game," and I don't mean like the end game of like the end game. End game was a proper term before Avengers fucking. I mean like
It was.
actual like the end of
They
it. Like it's
literally,
going to
dude.
be
Yeah,
the
they
end
they
of it.
had him, and even in the Marvel movies, they had another. I think another Avengers movie where they were like, "We're in the end game now," and then they used that soundbite to promote Endgame. But yes, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
with yeah,
I feel like because that's a big point of Kingdom Come is the fact that that it's like all these younger legacy heroes are like being more extreme and there's less of a moral code, and then the older heroes have to step in and be like, no, the no, you have to have just, you have like proper justice and all this other stuff, but that's like a flawed ideology as well. um because I mean, you're already kind of getting MCU sloppy seconds because like half of the
but
people
dude,
James Gunn has worked
I
with
know.
before is being used. So I feel like so
But the thing is, just because you were in the MCU doesn't mean it's a sloppy second. I mean, there's been already a ton of examples of people going both ways. Like it's
yeah.
and just because you've done one doesn't mean you can't do the other, or it would be
Yeah, like Michael
inferior.
Rosenbaum, he was Lex Luthor and then he did the cameo in Guardians, and
Yeah,
then you have so many, like Ben Affleck was Daredevil and then he
Daredevil before he
became
was in DC. Yeah,
Batman. Johnny
I
Storm, well,
mean,
I
going
mean,
the
Johnny
other way
Storm was
too.
Marvel, but he went from one
Yeah,
universe to another with Chris
yeah.
Evans. And
I mean,
then,
Christian
Michael
Bale.
Keaton. Michael Keaton, he
Yeah,
was Batman and
Michael
then went to
Keaton.
the MCU. Like, it can go like, all
To
right,
be honest,
like
and Michael Keaton's like Vulture was still probably one of the best villains of
it was one of the more
the
memorable
MCU.
parts
And
of that movie.
yeah,
But yeah. So I
dude, do
think
you
what
remember when
they're
when the first turn happens? I think that was one of the best oh shit moments when he opens the door for when Peter's coming over to pick up MJ for home. Not MJ. What was the name? The other girl
Liz Allen,
for
but not Allen, it was Toombs because now it's his
right
daughter. And
for homecoming,
yeah.
right? Dance and he's like, oh shit, Vulture is her dad, and then like Vulture was like, I know who you are. It was kind of similar to like that Oppenheimer moment where you were like, oh no, RDJ is the bad guy. It was so I mean it's and then Christian Bale, I mean he did whatever he could to save his role in Thor: Love and Thunder, but it seems like Taika Waititi was just not interested. But Batman we have seen actors play Batman and then before or after jump over to Marvel. I don't think there's any reason why
Yeah.
you want to call that sloppy
Here's
seconds.
the
But
thing in terms of Josh Brolin.
yeah,
I mean, he can probably do it because like him as young Agent K, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, was like is probably the best I can do for like Hal Jordan, because usually Josh Brolin plays like really gruff and rough and like very like masculine heavy characters. Not like saying Hal Jordan isn't masculine, nothing wrong with a man not being masculine, but I mean like he is like he's like kind of he's like the modern like Marlboro man, like like oh yeah, he's like big. I mean, it doesn't help that he's played like so many cowboys and all that shit, and a lot of neo westerns like Outer Range and No Country for Old
yeah.
Men, but he's but yeah, I think I don't mind the direction they're going with, like, because I mean, he is. I mean, they already confirmed, like, well, it was a rumor that like, oh, they're picking a Hal that's going to be in his like early to mid 40s, and then they're going to pick a John that's in his late 20s, early 30s, and
Well,
David Cornswet just turned 32, 33. So
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
also like I think it was 40 to 55, right? So it was a pretty big range. I mean,
I don't think
if
it
you were
was
going on
that
the
late.
upper
I don't
end
think it
of
was
that, no?
55 was that late, but
Okay.
I think it was like 38 to 47 if I remember correctly. Um but I think it was some like a weird range. It wasn't like typical. But yeah, I think that's what they're doing. They're kind of like having like more veteran heroes like Hal and Batman, Wonder Woman. It depends what they do with Wonder Woman, because that could be either or. They can either like have like a very young actress like Adria Arjona, which many people have fan casted, and have her like be this like younger, but obviously she's like an like wise beyond her years type of thing, kind of like gotta point out my Matt Smith Doctor Who poster, kind of like that character where he's young but he's
Yeah.
clearly like wise beyond his years. He's clearly thousands of years old, although at that point he was only hundreds of years old, but that's beside the point. So you can either do that, or you can use someone who looks quote unquote more her age, where they're like going like maybe in their 40s or 50s, and have Wonder Woman like be that character. You could do either or, and then maybe have Wally West as sort of the younger hero, but then have Barry Allen just in case, like maybe he's like more retired or he's not like showcased as much or something like that. And then maybe like Aquaman's more of a veteran, and then maybe Martian Manhunter's more of a veteran. So you could have like this good mix of like Justice League characters that are like really that have been around the block, but also like these younger heroes to have like a good like smorgasbord of like people that are like from all walks of life, and they feel different, and they, but they like, and then you got to make sure they have that like that good chemistry with one another so it like works. So I kind of like the angle that they're going with here, and I do think Josh Brolin is an interesting choice. Obviously they've only offered him the role. He hasn't said anything yet. And it's, it's only a rumor that they've offered it to him. It's a rumor of an offer. It's not even like, oh, yeah, he's doing it. This is just a rumor of an offer. So I think, this is definitely an interesting choice, not one I would have thought of. But I mean, like, I feel like Josh Brolin himself is becoming Thanos because he's got Disney,
Yeah.
he's got Fox, even though that's technically under Disney. He had the Fox
Yeah.
X-Men universe when it was still under Fox. And then if he's doing this, he's got Hal Jordan. So now he just needs like the Sony verse and then like an indie comic book character, and then he's got like all 5 stones.
Yeah.
Like
No, he's
that's
working his way up the ladder. Definitely,
he's got
yeah.
all that. So yeah, so he
I
just needs to be.
am Hal
Honestly though,
Jordan.
speaking
Yeah,
speaking of Sonyverse, he could have been a really good Craven. Like if they were going for an older,
dude.
he would have
Yes,
been a good Craven,
he would have
most
been. He would have.
definitely.
That would be
But
more like if he was to play Cable. Like you don't give him his own movie, but you kind of bring him in as an adversary to Spider-Man directly. Then I think Josh Brolin would really, really work well. And that's not to say he can't pull off like. I mean, how long ago did Deadpool 2 come out? Because he was in he was Cable, right? So I'm like, how many
2018,
years? 2018. So it's. I mean, okay, 6 years have gone by. I'm like, how old is Josh Brolin today? Like, somebody find out for us in the chat. Um, Oh, 56. He's 56. Okay. So he's 56 years old. 6 years ago, he was 50. He played Cable. Nobody said anything about, oh, he's too old. I think it's more a matter of because now you're getting into he's Hal Jordan, the most popular Green Lantern. But they always said they wanted to introduce a more veteran, the legend of the Lantern Corps. If you're going for like the gravitas element of it, Josh Brolin can do that better than probably most people you can look at, and anywhere in Hollywood, quite frankly. And he will bring the prestige. He will bring, a fantastic acting resume. The dude can chew up the scenery like nobody else. And I mean, he's been in the Dune movies. I mean, I think he didn't die in the second one, right? So he's
it
probably
was
going to be in
thought
the
he was dead, but then he came back in the second.
yeah. So yeah. I mean I mean I know a lot of you guys are not big fans of this, but again, this isn't this isn't confirmed. He's been reportedly offered the role, and so there's a couple of things that have to happen. A, it needs to be like, okay, so he was offered the role, and then B, he takes it. So yeah. But Derpy's suggesting Garrett Hedlund. John, is that what do you think about
Yes,
that
Garrett
idea?
Hedlund was a good choice. I think he would personally. I would see him more as Green Arrow. I think he would be a really good Green Arrow, but I could see him as Hal. I think he would be a good Hal. It's a shame he never really went anywhere after Tron Legacy because honestly, Tron Legacy fucking massively underrated. That was such a fucking great movie. And then but yeah, I think he has the star power. Like he's kind of has more of like I think, and then he's also played like more balanced characters, but I think he could definitely be a good Hal. I personally, I would have him. He has been my voice crack. Jesus Christ, he has been my choice for Green Arrow for a while. So I would love to have him as Green Arrow, but I still think, like in terms of bringing characters, I think he could definitely do Hal Jordan very well. And I mean, he's got the look for it, he's got the age for it, and I think he's got the acting ability for it. But I think, yeah, I think he would be a good choice.
I mean, he would be playing a very young 40s. I think he's probably more. He can pull 30s off, Like I think
Yeah,
the goal was to get somebody who's playing 40s, So yeah. Oh, and then Man of Steel Magnolias. He understands the assignment. I was like, tell the people what they need to do to the like button. Omega beam the like button, everybody. If you are tuning in, then hit that like button. That helps us out, gets in front of more of you guys. There's a good suggestion from Elijah. Is he or she? Tell us if you're off about that. We have made mistakes before. Hear me out. James Marsden. Of course, he's in that new Sonic trailer. What do you think, John? What do you think about the idea of James Marsden
I don't
potentially?
like James Marsden because of the controversies with Quiet on Set, so I'm not wholly with James Marsden. Like, if we're separating what he did, I think he could have been a good Hal Jordan. I think he's definitely got the energy for it, but like after what happened, I don't like. They have to put him in Sonic 3, and they're also heavily implied in that trailer that Tom is getting killed off. So I think James Marsden is his career, I think, might be dead at this point. Um, but yeah, Alden Ehrenreich could be good. I didn't hate him as Han Solo. I mean, it's hard. Like, the thing I kind of respected about him, even though he wasn't like amazing, was that he just didn't do a bad like Harrison Ford impression. Like, he tried to make it his own character. It's just that he was stuck in like a poorly written and reshot to hell movie. So, like who
Dude,
fired the
they fired
directors
the director. Yeah, it's
halfway through
yeah,
production, and they got someone who
yeah.
didn't have that great of a vision. So I don't really I can't blame Alden Ehrenreich too harshly because I think he's a good actor. He's been in a lot of good stuff. He was just in Oppenheimer. He could be good, but I think he's too young. He could maybe play a good Kyle Rayner. He might be a little bit too old for that. But I think there's a lot of great actors out there depending on the age range. So yeah, I think that would be I like Garrett Hedlund, great. Alden Ehrenreich could be good. I understand that. Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, even though, everyone fucking hated can't even spell Snyder wrong. Jesus, Snyder right. Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
but they did ask a good question. Who's your favorite Superman, John? I know
Tyler
it's kind of
Hoechlin.
off topic. Tyler Heckman. There you go. I know that for me it's Henry Cavill. So like, but I
Tyler
love. In
Hoechlin.
fact,
So don't
literally
call me
last night
so don't fucking call me a goddamn Christopher Reeve fucking fanboy. I know some of you in the comments have, but I'm not. That's not even my favorite Superman, so fuck off with that shit. Get out of here.
Well, because I mean, I literally watched Man of Steel again yesterday because I was just like in the mood. I saw a reel, then I just started watching it from like the scene where he's gives himself up to the military, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna skip the first hour of the movie. I'm just gonna watch the rest of it. So I spent like a good almost 2 hours at that. The rest of the movie from there. I love it. I don't think you can really go wrong with any of the actors who have played Superman over the years. Even Brendan Routh did a pretty good job. It was just a bad script, I think, and not very well executed.
Yeah.
Caleb's joined the chat. Hello to you, sir.
He was
He's got
saying
hot
something about
takes.
Glenn Powell as Hal Jordan. I could see Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell would probably be the best as either Hal Jordan. Again, Green Arrow and Green Lantern are like really kind of in tune. The one you can play, like someone you get for one can definitely play the other, I feel. But yeah, that's not who they go out. But he also who recommended this? Elijah recommended Chris Pratt as Hal Jordan. I would love to see that just to piss people off. I think he would be a better Guy Gardner. He would be a great Guy Gardner, but obviously he's already casted. So I would fucking love to see him as Hal Jordan and just see the entire internet lose their fucking collective shit. That would be funny. Just for the
Dude, just
lulz, at least.
just seeing the reactions to this potential casting alone, I'm like, it would be interesting if that happened.
Yeah.
Elijah, yeah, Glenn Powell as Hal Jordan because he would pull off the cockiness, but Glenn Powell might be too young since they want an older. That's the thing, like Chris Pratt can probably pull off a 40-year-old. Josh Brolin can play maybe somebody in his late 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
then
I do think he is
Killmonger,
a
yeah,
little bit too old.
agree.
Like someone, I think it was the Watcher that said, "We want a veteran, but not a veteran. We want a veteran,
Yeah.
but not someone who's a veteran of the Vietnam War." So let's try to pick someone like I would say for like John Krasinski's right there. Like he's right fucking there, guys. Like why? He was Mr. Fantastic for 2 seconds. He pulled off that perfect look. He had the white in his hair. it was like Hal Jordan has in the comics. Like he has that little white streak that shows he's a little bit older. Just guys, he's right there. Why don't you use him? He's the perfect age. Same with Chris. Both John Krasinski and Chris Pine, they're right there. Perfect age, perfect acting ability. Well, not I would like perfect for Hal Jordan. Great range. Like guys, they're right there. Just use them. Come on, like, ugh. I don't get it,
No,
but that's
it's
just me.
Caleb with another good comment here though. I think this is a fair point. Like they're not trying. I don't think James Gunn is trying to adapt everything one to one from the comics. They're trying to use them as an inspiration. The MCU has done this for years. Captain America: Civil War, which was the other movie I put on after Man of Steel because I was like in the mood for more superhero movies, it clearly is not the comic book version of Civil War, not by a long shot, but it's still a
Yeah,
great movie. So you
that's
don't
what.
need
Yeah,
to
that's what he's
just
doing.
yeah
I mean, both him and David Cornswet already said they're not adapting Superman for all seasons or All Star Superman. They're taking the vibe of those and maybe some moments here and there to take those and bring them to the big screen. But it's not going to be perfect adaptations because that's just boring. I've
yeah.
said which one? Josh Brolin, Henry Cavill, Garrett
If we
Hedlund,
can't,
Chris
I
Pine,
can't
like
tell. I
every
can't
single
tell.
one. Chris
Maybe
Pratt,
maybe they're
like they're
talking
all
about you,
beautiful,
John.
man. They're all beautiful, man. I mean, I got that outer range
Yeah,
Josh Brolin look, but I got the baldness. So I
yeah.
could play like modern Lex Luthor because I feel like modern Lex Luthor is just one of two things: either a twink or a guy with a beard. So like, I feel like that's who they're going for. So I'm like, all right, I'll throw my hat in the ring. As a Lex Luthor, older bearded Lex Luthor. Um, but yeah, I think oh, somebody else recommended Kushi Singh, Zachary Levi as Hal. I mean, that would be pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. I loved him as Captain Marvel. He was great there, but I wouldn't mind seeing him as Hal. I think he would. He definitely has that good balance of like cockiness and like genuineness. So I think he could do a good job there.
Yeah. What about a bearded calendar man? I think we're really off the mark there. I don't even know what the character. What is Calendar Man, John? Is that a that's
Yeah,
a deep cut.
Julian Day. He was kind of like this jokey Silver Age character, and then in the Long Halloween, they made him this like super serious serial killer, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of been for the past like couple decades. Sean Gunn appeared as him in The Suicide Squad in like a 2-bit cameo. He was making fun of Polka Dot Man, but yeah, he kills on holidays. That's essentially his thing.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
why he was
wow.
like he was kind of like the Hannibal Lecter to Batman during the Long
Mm-hmm.
Halloween, where he was giving like information and like giving certain things to Batman, like information to help him. So that's who
Yeah.
essentially he was there. That was like a famous
Well,
portrayal.
yeah. Maybe we'll get that in the Batman part two, because maybe said there's some new serial killer out there, and it's Thanksgiving instead of Halloween when this is happening. Anyway, we'll ask Matt Reeves about it when he finally comes out of his dungeon and has finished writing that script, which will somehow feature Condiment King or whatever else he might have come up with. But I did want to reset a little bit because I see more of you guys joining the chat. If you haven't already seen the story, Nexus Point News broke it. The Insnider, which is another Hollywood insider. He does his own. Jeff Snyder does his own podcast. He has a newsletter. Both of these outlets were talking about how potentially, Josh Brolin could be our new Hal Jordan in the DCU. He's been offered the role. Again, it's not confirmed. Um, we know that for a while now they've been looking to bring in a more veteran Green Lantern. That's going to be our legendary Hal Jordan, who's
Hmm.
going to be somebody who's been around the block a few times, and then John Stewart would be more of a rookie. I think again the best comparison I can make is I feel like they're going for again maybe a darker version of it, but like Men in Black, right? Like where I forget what Will Smith's character in that is, but I know like
Agent
Tommy Lee
Shay.
Jones. Agent J. Tommy Lee Jones is K, right? So Tommy Lee Jones is K, recruits Will Smith's J, and that's kind of maybe what's gonna happen here. And then they're investigating a murder in the American heartland, and it's like a detective mystery sort of a thing.
And they're
Maybe a
totally gonna
lethal,
murder Guy
yeah.
Gardner. They're
I still
totally gonna
think that's
murder
a
him.
good theory. I think that's a very. I think I've got you convinced
But
now.
then,
I've
and
been
then,
pitching this
well,
for
here's the
months.
thing, because it's a terrible
So
idea, so Tom King would probably do it. So, that's
yeah,
how it is.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I just don't want Guy Gardner to die after like one fucking movie. That's all I want. Maybe
Well,
they
I mean,
kill him
well,
off and then
it's
it turns out he's not dead and then they, resurrect him
yeah,
because no one in the comics ever stays dead. So,
yeah.
unless you're Uncle Ben or the Waynes.
And by the way, I was gonna say this is a good point that this article makes that I just that completely forgot about. Because earlier Kushi was saying like, or some, I think it was, who was saying it was either one of you or several of you said, we don't want Marvel's sloppy seconds. Guys, Josh Brolin was Jonah Hex in 2010. Jonah
It was
Hex
actually
is a DC
2011.
2011. Okay,
Fun
2011.
fact, it was funny how Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin were in terrible DC Comics
DC movie,
movies in 2011.
same
I'm
year.
surprised Ryan Reynolds never brought that up when they were doing press together for Deadpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy because it's like, obviously the Green Lantern jokes are obvious, but like he's like, what about the Jonah Hex jokes? Or like maybe it's just that bad and nobody fucking remembers it. But I heard it was terrible. But yeah, so he was DC before,
It's
so suck
yeah,
it, guys. So he already has the third gauntlet. Now he just needs to be in
dude.
Sony and
He's
and an indie
yeah.
comic book character. Fuck it, bring him back as the Crow. That's a franchise that's like dead now. Maybe he can resurrect it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I mean, hey,
Rupert Sanders.
but if anything, this is him returning to the world of DC, not like sloppy seconds. Marvel had the sloppy seconds. Thanos was sloppy seconds, if you're going off that theory. But Caleb Richardson continues to. He's making some great points about how, I mean, these are meant to be adaptations. Movies, these movies aren't meant to be a one-on-one, you know, comic book adaptation. They're meant to be
Yeah,
like
he mentioned
inspired by
Caleb
them.
mentioned Watchmen, how
So
that I view that not as a Watchmen adaptation, that is an interpretation from a certain director. That's the only way you could have made that movie work. You can't do a one-to-one comic adaptation. It would have been impossible. That's why it took years to fucking develop.
yeah,
Because like Paul Greengrass and I think someone else were like they were trying to put their own stamp on it because you just can't adapt the comic properly. So so yeah, I think that's what you really need to do, and that's what it eventually was. It was Zack Snyder's Watchmen. It was not an adaptation of Alan Moore's and David Gibbons' Watchmen. Jerry O'Connell could be a good choice. He's definitely got the attitude and face for it. Like Georgie in The Big Bang. Anybody? Anyway, I just think he definitely has just without the southern accent. I think he's yes, he did. We mentioned that. So
hmm
yeah, I think like Men in Black mixed with True Detective is like the vibe they should be going for this show. And I do think Josh Brolin could do a good job. It's just you gotta touch him up a little bit, make him a little bit younger looking. But I
yeah.
think he could do it. It would definitely be something that's not Brian. Yeah, just get Brian Cranston for fucking Lex Luthor at this point. Just
Isn't he
fucking
rumored for Professor X though? Bryan
yeah,
Cranston,
he's
isn't
rumored
he?
for
He's
Professor X now, like every other
yeah.
fucking bald guy under the sun. I'm rumored for Professor X at this point.
Yeah.
Like
You should
Mark
audition.
Strong, he's
Is there
rumored. John
is there
Carlo
something you're not
Esposito,
telling
he's
us, John?
rumored. Like, ugh.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of, but what if Christopher Nolan announces Batman Resurrection? I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't.
Never, never,
Yeah.
never. He would never do that.
I think he's said on multiple occasions he's firmly done with comic book movies. He's said his piece with the whole trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, and now he's like, I'm doing my own thing. Um, Matthew McCaney, is that who is that? Did you mean to say Matthew McConaughey? I don't know, Watcher, if I'm reading that correctly. Um, but James at one point says simply no, which was a fun comment. He's just like, no. He's very much set on his position that there's got to be a better choice out there. I mean, again, we got to think about it this way. They probably have, like, not just probably, they have scripts for these episodes. The show has been greenlit, which means there's completed scripts, so they know they're looking for something very specific. So they must think that Hal Jordan Josh Brolin could be a good pick for the character. John, remind us who the creators of the show are. Who are the showrunners here? I believe they go
You
over
just
that.
want to get me mad, fucking don't you? It's we have Chris Mundy, from
Yep.
Ozark fame.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Damon Lindelof and Tom King, but we have Chris Mundy, so
Yeah.
he's our bright spot in darkness right now. Yeah. Speaking of Watchmen, but yeah.
Well, again, Kushi's asking for your choice, John. If you had your pick, because remember, this is something that the article from Nexus Point News says that while they have offered the role to Josh Brolin, and at the top of their list, they do have a list, so they will work their way down the list if Josh Brolin says no. He's not in a big franchise right now. He's even when he has played these other big high-profile roles, he's generally been only doing it like one movie. Like Thanos showed up in 2 movies, yes, but they were shot back to back. Cable was a one-time appearance. So Jonah Hex was a one-time thing. So, but here it seems like they might be getting somebody who's going to stick around for a bit. Do you think Josh Brolin, now that the Outer Range show is canceled, which was the other big thing he was working on, I mean, he has the bandwidth, but like, let's just say for the sake of argument, if not Josh Brolin, who do you think is on that list beyond him? Who do you think they're going to reach out to? Is there any of the people that we have already talked about? Or do
I
you
mean,
think
I
they said
remember
we would
hearing a
not
rumor
continue?
that they wanted Channing Tatum for the role, but like, I don't know if he would do it. Like, I feel like he's just kind of hoping that he gets another shot at Gambit, like after Deadpool and Wolverine. Matthew McConaughey, I don't know if he would be a good Hal. I don't know. I just
All right,
can't
all
be
right, all
like,
right. Let's
just being like,
let's go
all
solve this
right, all
murder.
right,
All
all
right, all
right,
right, all
John, let's
right. Yeah.
investigate this murder now. Like, hey, like, I will say he kind of has like a good build for it.
I'm
Um,
so in. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, that's the
I don't
best
know. I think
idea
he
you
would be
feel
a
all
better.
day.
I think he would be a better villain. Like I would love to see him as like just like a
Yeah.
villain. I think Matthew McConaughey, because he was considered for Ego. So you know what? Like maybe McConaughey but I think he couldn't do it because of scheduling conflicts. But he was the first choice for Ego. He was going to be more like a creepier figure. But then they decided to go into a whole different direction with Kurt Russell because there was concept art with Matthew McConaughey's Ego, the Living Planet. He's too old. And I don't think they want a guy that bitch slaps people as Jon Stewart. So let's go with John David Washington.
Come on, man. Like
Let's
you gotta like.
go.
It's been a couple of years. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, but the internet doesn't forget, Dan. So let's not
I'm
get
not saying,
crazy.
dude. We were live. We did a live. We were doing a live watch along of those Oscars, and it took us a good 10 minutes to figure out if that was like planned or that was like something real. I remember to this day. But Caleb, by the way, mentioning Matt Damon.
Matt
I don't
Damon.
know.
Yeah. You feel like the type of guy to do superhero stuff. Like you have like the contingent. I feel like you go into two different groups. Like if you have like the fucking hoity-toity pretentious people like Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon is like, I am too good for the comic book film. And then you got like people like Josh Brolin or fucking Glenn Close be like, fucking gang, let's do it. Like, give me that money. Let me be, let me do anything. Let's fucking go. So you have like those kinds of people that are in like two very different groups. And I think yeah, and I just don't think Matt Damon would be Matt Damon for Jonah Hex? Or
No, no,
Matthew
no. Matthew
McConaughey for Jonah
McConaughey.
Hex?
Jonah
Oh,
Hex.
that would be perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know about that. I think he would be really good. Um, I don't know if he could do like I don't know if I could like take him. I don't know. I think he can do a serious role, but like he would have to be like I don't know. I think Jonah Hex could be good for him. Like just like if it was like more like Dallas Buyers Club where he's like more serious and like toned down and that kind of thing. And not, Matthew McConaughey being Matthew McConaughey. So, you know, um, yeah, just get someone gruff and cool as Jonah
Yeah.
Hex. That would be awesome. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey could do it. Fuck it, he could be Hal Jordan. Fuck it, both. Let's do it.
We just need a Matthew McConaughey DCU now. That's like kind of like Henry Cavill plays
Yeah,
everybody, or Matthew McConaughey could play
yeah.
everybody.
Henry
Um,
Cavill plays every hero, and then Dan Stevens plays every villain. Let's go.
what about Scott Glenn? Who is Scott Glenn, by the way?
Scott Glenn. He is that was Stick from Daredevil, right? Scott Glenn, or am I thinking somebody else?
Oh, you know what? I think. Wait,
Yeah,
are you talking about the Hunt for Red October, Scott Glenn? Isn't he? Isn't he legit too old for this?
yeah. He's like in his 70s at this point.
I don't know if like you mean this literally, but I feel like now we're just going in the wrong direction.
We don't know who. I mean, yeah. Hunt for Red October, Silence of the Lambs, Training Day. Very
I think, yeah.
weird. I mean, he was in The Leftovers for Damon Lindelof, but like, it's kind of a weird choice. But he is at the very least like, because we don't know when he was born. Apparently, either
Mhm.
1938 between 1942. So yeah, that's what it says on his Wikipedia. Like I'm looking at it now.
That's
So
interesting. It's just like,
so
wow,
he's
I
like
don't know when
he's
he was born.
almost at the very least he's almost 90. So like he's in his 80s at the very least. So like
This, by the way,
I
is my
mean,
favorite comment. I'm just saying.
I'm
I
just
think I think
I think he
Elijah,
might be a
you
little
hit the
bit
nail on the
okay.
head.
Tom Cruise might be a little bit too old because like don't get me wrong, he still looks really good for his age. His age did start to show a bit in the
I think
last
it's like
Mission
all of a
Impossible.
sudden it's like he aged 10 years. It feels like,
He got
right?
kind
Like,
of wrinkly, not gonna lie. So I
yeah.
don't because like Top Gun Maverick, boom, that dude was still looking good. And then like the
Even those Mission
next
Impossible, the Henry Cavill one, right? This is the
no,
what
yeah,
was
but
this
like
called?
Dead
Dead
Reckoning,
Reckoning?
he looked like he
Fallout.
like just
Even
went
in
from
Fallout.
like he went from young 50 to like old
Like this is
like
that. I mean, okay, he looks okay in certain shots. Like here, he looks fine, but in certain shots, you could really tell. Like I think he's starting to. I don't know. Maybe the stress of filming during COVID aged him
yeah,
by a
just
few
yelling
years.
at the crew for not wearing
Yeah.
masks. There he is running. Tom Cruise
Yeah.
running.
Tom Cruise running through a
He wouldn't
hallway.
he
That's
wouldn't fly as he wouldn't whoa, okay, Jesus Christ.
okay.
He wouldn't fly as Hal Jordan, he would just run.
He would just run. Yeah. I mean, okay, now we're getting into this. Would be like if, well, didn't you cast Tom Cruise as somebody back for like if the Justice League and Avengers were in the 80s or something?
Yeah, I did. What if the Justice League were in the 80s? I mean, he would have been perfect as Hal Jordan in the 80s because I mean Top Gun's right there. I mean Hal Jordan's a fighter pilot, so like boom, there you go.
It's right there.
So I think that would have been awesome. Like I had like a whole thing. Like I think I had Michael J. Fox as Barry Allen. I think I had Dennis Quaid as Superman. Like Karen Allen as Wonder Woman. It's been a while, so I'd have to look it up. But yeah, that's like about right.
Yeah. By the way, the Watcher, I think has a good. But if Josh Brolin declines the role for, Hal
That could
Jordan,
be interesting.
you know,
I would like to see. I would like to see. You know who would I think be a good Alan Scott? I know because I just did it for my own personal channel. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, even though I'm just doing like a counterpart thing, I think Bruce Davison could be a good Alan Scott. Like, I know he's probably a little bit too old now, but like, I would want someone who's like pretty old, or Stephen Lang could be a good Alan Scott. Like, get someone who's like capable, but like who can. Although I will say, Stephen Lang is probably better villains, but even then, I do think Alan Scott should be like at least in his like six. Get Tom Cruise for Alan Scott. There you go. Boom, made it work.
but there's actually, you know what? I think there's a really good point here. Let me go back to the Tom Cruise for a second. I think he, by the way, I think he meant to say Gunn. Let me correct that because I feel it's like I'm gonna correct that spelling mistake for you, Watcher, because I know earlier you said McHaney instead of McConaughey. But anyway, if Gunn gets Cruise as Hal, that would be it would be a flex. But hear me out. I think I have a theory around this. If it does happen, do you remember when Tom Cruise was like playing up the Flash? Remember he was like, I
Oh
got a
yeah,
copy delivered to my house. I watched it like
and
there
they
was a
were
rep
like,
from the studio.
"Say it,
Like
Tom." Say it. Say the words for us, Tom. Do it.
and
Do it.
Tom Cruise has a new deal with Warner Brothers, so his production office is going to be on their lot. He's still doing tons of work with all the franchises he's a producer on with Paramount, so like Top Gun and Mission Impossible and whatnot. But he's gonna be on Warner Brothers lot. He is in the house of Warner Brothers now. So and he clearly has a direct line to David Zaslav and most likely now to James Gunn as well. He can probably just walk across the lot to James Gunn's office. I'm just saying, if they wanted to throw some money at the problem, like, could they get it? I think there's more to that potentially than maybe Elijah even realized when you suggested that. But hey, if you're watching, reminder, please hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We see a bunch of new viewers that we haven't seen in the chat at least. So if you guys are watching for the first time, hit subscribe. We are live Monday through Friday with a new episode of DCU Daily. Tomorrow we're also going to be reviewing a movie, and we're going to be looking at some other news as well from the world of Hollywood with the Also Curious Show times DCU Daily. But we are here Monday through Friday. So if you're joining us for the first time, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. But Caleb was like Tom Cruise for Barry Allen. I think that's a little like, it's, I don't know. That's but as Hal Jordan, but I wouldn't imagine Tom Cruise is below Josh Brolin on that list. That's the one thing where I'm like that.
Well, he's below most people. He's he's only like 5'6", right? At this point. He's below.
I don't know where you were going with that, John, but okay.
He's below most people. That's what he is. He's got to wear special shoes. He's got to be on like a milk crate. You know how it is. Hey, I'm short. I can make those jokes. All right, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, Johnny Dome is like Green Arrow. I don't know. I don't think that's big enough of a role for Tom Cruise to take on. He would probably be. I think Hal Jordan would be a great role for him. Potentially, I don't know how we just moved off Josh Brolin. I mean, I'm a Tom Cruise fan. That's probably why. By the way, the Watcher had an interesting comment. This is a little bit of a sidetrack, but I think it's worth a quick mention. Let's take a look at this one here from the Watcher. Who's everybody in the chat? Thanks so much for interacting. We love your ideas. You come up with better ideas than we do half the time. But the Watcher said, "Who would you guys cast for the Authority?" I left a comment about this. Thought it would be an interesting topic since we talk casting a lot. Did we do a casting for the
Authority? We already did a casting. Yeah. Go watch it. Go.
It's in the playlist. Like if you're on our channel, just type in the Authority. We did a whole fan casting on the Authority. I think it's a couple of months ago now. Yeah. But we will, if
there's back any more in January, news, February.
Yeah, months ago. We will definitely dive back into it. As of right now, though, I think it just depends on which of the characters of the Authority they're going to actually have. We know that we have the Engineer, but beyond that, there's so many other characters. Are they going to bring all of them in, or are they going to bring only a few of them in? And we had some really good picks. I think we spent like a good 90 minutes talking about it. So like, make sure to check that out. And the Watcher also saying Green Arrow has to be in his 30s at least and be willing to wear a hat. Okay, so that kind of takes Tom Cruise out of the picture. Yeah, and imagine Hal Jordan shorter than Wonder Woman. Well, dude, but like Tom Cruise is shorter. She
is an Amazon. They're supposed to be tall,
But Tom Cruuse is shorter than half of his co-stars. But on screen they make it work. Like it's you can shoot a movie where in every shot Tom Cruise looks like he's the same height or taller than the other person. It's the actual height of the actor doesn't really matter in the movie itself. That's less of a thing. Like especially at these budget levels, they'll film around that. Elijah would, by the way, that started a conversation in the chat about the Authority. So if you guys, again, if you haven't tuned into that episode months ago, then it is, if you scroll down the DCU Daily playlist, we did do a fan casting for the Authority a few months back. John, if you're able to find the episode number, like whichever, I know we're on 165 now, let us know. But Elijah, in the meantime, saying Luke Evans and Mad Bomber as Midnighter and Apollo, I think that would be inspired casting for both of those characters.
I think I had those exact ones.
I think you had that combination.
Yeah.
The
Authority. Yeah. So, yes, that was number 90. So go check that out. Yeah, it was before
DCU Daily number 90, guys. That's where we did
so bump up those numbers. It only has 166 views. Come on, guys. Let's fucking go. Let's pump. Gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket. Come on. There you go.
Yeah.
There's your Matthew McConaughey quote for the episode.
By the way, Kushi asking, are you excited for Joker 2? We will have some news on the Joker 2. They put out a new trailer, like a new not a whole trailer, but it's a new TV ad, like a new mini commercial spot for Joker 2. And there's like a fun, interesting quote from Harley Quinn, like Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, talking about Arthur Fleck in the movie. We're gonna get into that, but I think we're both excited. Like I think the trailers have looked better and better. So we will get into the Joker 2 with that piece of news tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing a whole Los Curious show where we're going to talk about some concept art for Glenn Powell as the Batman potentially, and then later on in the day, like in the evening, we're going to do a full DCU daily, and we have so many other news from the Penguin, from Joker Folie à Deux. We have other news from the James Gunn. Like there's other stuff, just so many things. We're gonna probably continue this conversation. Now we got like Johnny Dome suggesting Mark Wahlberg as Wildcat. So that's another authority character, right, John? Isn't that like?
Can we get someone who can actually act as Wildcat? That would be great. I think Josh Brolin could be a good Wildcat. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I would say that.
By the way, James in the chat. Let me get you in here. Darwin Cook's Wonder Woman was taller than Superman. Fair point. Fair point. Hello, James in the chat. We haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well, man. The Watcher's like, oh man, I just thought, what about Mark Wahlberg as Catman?
Yeah, I want Matthew Lillard as Catman. He would be better. That's just my.
I think Lex might have the right idea though. He wants to see Luke Evans as Sinestro. Like, if you don't go,
that would be really good too. That would be really good too.
I'm like,
but I mean, it just helps.
That would be a good pick.
It just helps that like both Luke Evans and Matt Bomer are actually gay, so that would be helpful because I know it's like, I mean, so to make them as Apollo Midnighter, that's like kind of nicer. Like I know I'm still one of the believer of like, you're an actor, you can act contrary to reality, but some people would like to see actually LGBTQ actors play LGBTQ characters, which is fine. If that helps you, then cool. But I'm not going crazy over like, oh, you need to have like a gay actor play a gay character. But if that's helpful, so I would say like stick with them because it's just obvious casting, and I think they're really good actors, and I think that they would fit into those roles very well. Yeah, I guess maybe as like, as like later Hal, I guess, but I think he could still do like a mainstay DCU Hal, so yeah, I can make it work. Sorry, yeah. It's past midnight here, ladies and gents.
It's true. On the East Coast, it is past midnight. I mean, Lex, for you, it's probably like morning, right? Like you're 5 hours ahead of us, so it's practically like 5 a.m. Thanks for sticking by on the chat. Because she's really pushing the envelope. Choose one, Gunn or Snyder. I'm like,
Gunn.
Do we have to pick the two guys? Like probably have a really good relationship.
Gunn.
So
Gunn.
I'm gonna
use
sit
the
on
gun to
fence.
kill Snyder. No, I'm just kidding. Gunn, James Gunn. I mean, I don't love either, but I'd rather have James Gunn because at least I've liked more of his movies than Zack Snyder. He has 3 that I've liked. Zack Snyder has 1. So I'll give him that.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, see? Boom.
How
Perfect.
This new universe
guys,
plays out.
He's right there. He's right there. Right there. Boom. Easy.
But
perfect.
Also,
what the fuck is he doing? What is he doing? If 2? That's not coming out. He can fucking do Green Lantern. All right? It's fine.
But he's doing A Quiet Place franchise. Now he's practically the producer, if not directing every
Okay,
movie.
He can fucking produce and act at the same time. It's not, what is a producer? Okay, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Great. Gonna be Hal Jordan now. Don't get at me that producers actually do shit. Come on now. Get that the fuck out of here. Get him as Hal or get Chris Pine as Hal. One of the two. Jesus Christ, it's not that fucking difficult.
By the way, Kushi joining us all the way from India. Love from India. Hey, love right back to you. 10 a.m. early morning. What a time! I mean, it's getting to be near almost afternoon for you there. Wow. Okay. Um, that's just like it's a big time jump. What about the idea of maybe you bring in Josh Brolin because I think here's a good comment. Um, El Quadro Guardian, who's been watching us literally from the moment we went live today, he's suggesting maybe I'm assuming a little bit because there's only 2 words in this comment. But what if they were bringing Josh Brolin in here as because Fiona mentioned this earlier as well. I think it was the idea that what if they're bringing in Josh Brolin as Hal Jordan, as an older Hal Jordan, even like older than the 40s that we probably envisioned? Is it because they want to go in the direction of Parallax? And so they're like he would be great for that. Obviously, he's played 2 villains already, in the Marvel
I mean,
movies, so
Cable
he
wasn't
clearly
really a
has the.
villain. He was kind of more of like
Well,
a.
you know what I mean, though. It's like morally gray. Yeah, he's more of an anti-hero, less, and obviously Thanos is a villain. So, um, he can do it. I mean, what do you think about that idea? Do you think that it would make sense if that's the direction they're going in?
Yeah, I mean, I understand like they want to. I just, I don't think just doing Parallax that quickly would be a little bit, maybe like eventually, but like not like season one of Lanterns. Like that would be like as I was saying before, that's like a season five thing. Like, get him under, like, get him under the show, couple movies, and then because I remember somebody saying, maybe it was The Watcher, maybe it was another one of our regulars, you gotta build up that character to make us care about him so they don't pull a Death of Superman in the second appearance of our Superman, because that would just be ridiculous. So, don't do that again. Learn from the mistakes of the past. I don't think so because it's from Nexus Point News. They say it's exclusive. Jeff Snyder has been very good, don't get me wrong, but I think this might be a little bit reaching because I think he's just too old. I don't think they want someone over 50 because this is clearly the beginning of a universe. Even someone who's going to be more quote unquote veteran like Batman, he's going to be at the very most like 40, maybe like 41, 42. So getting someone who's 56 play Hal Jordan, that's just, I feel like that's ridiculous. I don't think that would happen. I think they're going to get someone who's like maybe like 45 at the most. Like get a veteran, but not get like a super veteran, you know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me to get someone like that. I know, like, here's the thing. I know 56 isn't old. I know that, you know that. But in the eyes of Hollywood, it's old. Hell, Nathan Fillion is already pushing it with being what I think 52, 53. He still looks good for his age, don't get me wrong. But I mean, they're already kind of pushing it there, and Guy Gardner is not a very well-known hero. So I think okay, yeah, that could be interesting. But like that's I mean, Nathan Fillion's already kind of pushing it, but he'll be such a minor character that I don't think it'll majorly matter because Guy Gardner doesn't really get a ton of like screen time, even though he's great. I love Guy Gardner, but Hal Jordan, he's headlining a show. Guy Gardner, at the very least, is gonna be a supporting character. So, okay, Silver Lantern. There's no such. Is there a thing as a Silver Lantern? I know
Maybe
White
there is.
Lantern, but
It's
yeah, I think that's just what I was getting at. Like, I don't think they're gonna
yeah,
for someone Hal Jordan who's gonna stick by a show. I think they're gonna go with someone who's in their 40s. I don't think they're gonna go with someone in their 50s. It
yeah,
just doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
yeah. No, I it's fair.
Yes,
Um,
agreed.
oh, and then Caleb again asking the same question. About Parallax, which I think we just talked about, Caleb. I personally, if you're asking for my opinion, I think if they're going with somebody like a Josh Brolin, obviously they don't want to do a one off. They also probably looking at it like maybe down the road you kind of turn him into Parallax because Josh Brolin can play a bad guy about as well as anybody. He was of course the highest grossing bad guy in the history of cinema with the 2 Avengers movies that made a combined like 4+ billion, almost 5 billion together. So like he's got the credentials. um, but yeah, Caleb also saying I'm fine with it. Hal being in his 50s because it's kind of obvious that John Stewart is going to be the main Green Lantern in the DCU. It's a good point, and to yeah, I think in that case it would make sense. Oh, Jeremy Adams Sadness Lantern, Elijah. That do you see that, John? I don't know. Is that what they're talking about? There's a Sorrow Lantern. Oh, okay, okay. Um,
I don't know any of these characters.
It's there's dude, the Lantern Corps is very expensive. Remember we're gonna do an episode later this week. We're gonna get into like the other lanterns we want to see in the DCU eventually, like not just the two main that we're gonna get in, in the show with Hal Jordan and John Stewart. We want to see other not just other Green Lanterns. We want to see Blue Lanterns. We want to see Yellow Lanterns. There's all kinds of other options here, and hopefully we will get to expand. And James Gunn knows his comic book lore well, so hopefully he will use these breadth of characters to his advantage.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a Silver Lantern. Like I'm looking this up, and I don't think. That's not a thing. I don't know what you're talking. And the only other Harold Jordan Jr. is Airwave, which is retroactively became associated with Hal Jordan. So I don't know. Is this just like a fan fiction you have? Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like the way you made it sound like, oh, this happened in the comics. I'm like, I don't think that happened. Just proof. Show the receipts. That's all I ask. If it's like fan, it's a cool idea. Yeah. You made it. Yes. Thank you. Diane Guerrero, Jessica Cruz. Hey, and if Adria Arjona isn't cast as Wonder Woman, cast her as Jessica Cruz. Do it. So yeah. That's all I have to say.
They were gonna have Jessica Cruz in that previous iteration of the show.
Yeah, it was pretty much every Green Lantern except Hal Jordan and John Stewart.
And then they completely flipped it about when the new DC launched. But yeah.
And then
he's talking about the Jeremy Adams run. Okay, I see. It explains the earlier conversation.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to see her. I would love to see all the Green Lanterns except Simon Baz. Fuck Simon Baz. Nobody knows who Simon Baz is. Nobody likes him. He's a self-insert. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, we did a poll. I don't think many of you guys were interested in it. Yeah, we did a poll recently.
I remember someone was like, who's Simon Baz? And I'm like, exactly.
Okay, so the Watcher clarifying Sorrow Lanterns are technically Silver Lanterns. They're not officially called that, but they're called Sorrow Lanterns. So there you go. There's some comic lore behind that. Kristen Ritter, isn't she going back to Marvel for Deadpool or not Deadpool? The Daredevil, isn't she gonna be Jessica Jones again? I think I heard that she's part of that, or at least she wants to be.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, not that she can't do both, but I'm just saying she might be tied up with Marvel for now. Brian again continuing to clarify his point earlier about the storyline. I mean, hey, you guys again, this is something that even John wasn't aware of, but there's new comics in the works. They're introducing 2 new lanterns, and the colors are gold and silver. So it's possible. Maybe they're gonna have something new on the horizon that we don't yet have. All right, Caleb. I don't know if you mean this or if you missed our episode where we talked all about this. I think was it a week ago now, but we talked about Emma Darcy as Wonder Woman, and that had a strong reaction from a lot of you. So Caleb, I don't know if you missed that episode or if you're just trying to harken back or trying to get that conversation started again. But do check back a few episodes ago. We talked about it. Emma Darcy as potentially Wonder Woman. I think it would be a good pick. You guys let us know what you think in the comments. Selena Gomez. Now we got other options. Doug Jones. Oh, come on, man. Doug Jones. I did like him in Stargate, though. Oh, what about Anne Hathaway as Jessica Cruz? I mean, do you think she's... I'm not saying she's too old to play it, but aren't they potentially going to want somebody who's maybe more... What's the name of the actress again who was in Doom Patrol with the split personality? I feel like
that's Diane Guerrero.
Diane Guerrero, I think, might be a better fit for Jessica Cruz.
No, because Jessica Cruz is Hispanic, so Anne Hathaway can't play her.
Exactly. I think Diane Guerrero would be a better fit.
Yeah, she would be perfect. Her or Adria Arjona would be really good.
Yeah. Selena Gomez would be great for Jessica Cruz, too, by the way.
I don't know about that. I'm not a huge Selena Gomez fan. I think she's okay. She's fun. She's got Only Murders in the Building. She has her thing. She has her little niche. That's fine. Let her do that. Let's not have her be a superhero. That's just my opinion.
Johnny Dome with a deep cut here. Let me get that in here for a second. I don't know. Is it a deep cut? No, this is confusing me. Bring back Sideways, the DG version of Spider-Man. I don't know if you want to do that right now.
I guess. I mean, I mean, he kind of is, but but he doesn't really have web powers, does he? I remember that character, like he has like dark matter powers, I think, or something like that. He has like dark multiverse powers. Yeah, it's like dark matter. Um,
Yeah.
but like I would say the DC version of Spider-Man is probably more like Black Spider, even though he's a villain. That's more along the lines of that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Michelle Rodriguez would be a
I
good
think
fit
she could
potentially.
have been good like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, but that was, I mean, before Jessica Cruz existed. But like, I think she might be a little bit too old. And plus, she's not interested in like she made fun of like, "Ugh, do we need another Marvel movie?" And it's like, bro, you've been in like 17 Fast and Furious movies. What the fuck are you talking about? Um,
Yeah. By the way, I think there is so Kushi. I think there's a Zatanna project still in development somewhere in a dark hallway at Warner Brothers because for the longest time we heard that that was still ongoing, and whoever was attached to it kept saying, "No, no, no, it's still around." So the last I heard, that's still in development somewhere. So maybe we'll still get a Zatanna eventually. Who? Maybe we'll see. I think like Zendaya might be a good fit for that potentially, but we'll see.
mm,
It's nothing that's coming anytime soon. Um, so yeah, we'll have to find out. But you know what? Oh, Ratcatcher actor. Oh, what's her name again? Sorry, she's a Portuguese actress, right? Lex suggest, not Lex. Who's suggesting this in the chat? Elijah suggesting. She was in that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, who who played Ratcatcher 2 in the Suicide Squad.
yeah,
John, you know
Daniela
this person.
Melchior.
Danielle Melchior. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She could play a great Zatanna, I think. That would be a good
I
that'd be
th-
a great
fucking
casting.
get her for fucking Jessica Cruz.
Yeah.
I will say I think Jessica Cruz is specifically Mexican. I want to say, but like you can like fuck it, like you can make her
Yeah,
Portuguese. It's
whereas
fine. I know it's like
Danielle
a
Melchior is Portuguese. So, but
but like yeah, you can make her Portuguese. It's fine.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah.
I think that could be a good. But like Zatanna, I think Alexandra Daddario would be perfect. Like just get this woman as Zatanna. She's too perfect.
Well, hey, look, at the end of the day, what we've been talking about is Josh Brolin has been offered the role. This is coming from both Jeff Snyder of the Insider. He broke the story saying, "Hey, he's been offered this role for this very high budget HBO series where they're clearly going for the moon here because you don't just offer Josh Brolin a role like that, without putting significant resources behind the show, and clearly it's going to be a big part of the DCU moving forward. He's at the top of the list. So the Nexus Point News also is pointing out that they've started with him. If he says no, then they're gonna go down their list of other choices.
Hmm.
So, and of course, we've been talking about it at length. You guys have provided all kinds of suggestions. I think John, you and I also came up with a few good ones. But we do have to get to your comments. I mean, we've been talking about your comments all throughout the show, but we have lots more to do that even beyond just the comments you guys have been sharing in the live chat. Lex,
Yes.
the other day, you had suggested that we do a vote on your design of the suit versus the suit of Superman that we're actually getting. So let's do a quick vote in the chat, guys. Since you're here, Lex has been wanting to get your opinion. So this is the Superman suit that we have got from David Cornsweet, of course, the official Superman suit we're getting in the new movie. And then Lex did his own alternate design. It's a little more basic in terms of like the main design. I think the biggest difference here is the logo on the chest, and you can see some of the other sketches there. More traditional Superman. I don't know what era of Superman would you say, John, that this is from particularly?
It looks like it's 70s, maybe
70s? Yeah,
around 70s. I don't like how small the insignia is. I like the
yeah,
bigness of it. I like the chest of it. Like it looks good. Um,
yeah.
it's just a little too small for me. And I mean, I like the classic look, but I like something different. Go with something because like it's always been kind of tweaked. Like don't get me wrong, classic look is great. I like how they're going with the Kingdom Come one. It's different and it looks
Mm-hmm.
more like a crest. How they're going for more of like the the proper like alienness of it, despite him being a very like in touch human character. So
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna set up a quick poll here because Lex has been waiting for this. So we're gonna give you what you want, Lex. I think it's an interesting comparison. So let's see who you guys like. Would you have other comments to get into though? So here's the poll. Vote in there. Undertaker as Dark Side. Come on, Cushy. Really? Now we're really going. I prefer him doing podcasting now. I don't want to get him into the DCU. But Brian had a good one. Josh Brolin playing Alien Green Lantern Kilowog.
That honestly would be a better
Um,
casting.
he could do it. He could definitely do it. Uh, Crazy Undertaker's Dark Side. Yeah, no, that started the whole conversation. Okay, J.J. Abrams was rumored as. Oh yeah, that was one of his, and he's recently been getting his deal renewed, right? J.J. Abrams' deal through Bad Robot with Warner Brothers is being worked on for renewal. So maybe that Zatanna movie falls under his purview. So we'll get to see um, if that happens eventually or not, and whether it's part of the DCU or not. Maybe it's an Elseworld story. We will get into that, of course. But we do have some other comments, right? So, John, as we mentioned earlier, we do have some more fan comments to talk about. JB, who's always watching the video and then commenting, he mentioned that he missed the last show that we did, but he caught the replay and he, of course, thanked us for reading his comments. Always JB. And he did mention that the Superman shirts are back in stock. So if you guys have missed your chance to get these Superman shirts, we found them for you. They're back in stock. You can go check out not just the shirts, but you can
I'm
get yourself the
buying mine.
hoodie, the mug,
And there's
like,
a summer sale going on, so like hell
yeah,
yeah.
it's all right here. It's all right here. Let me put it on screen. You just gotta go to what's the website is
It's
shop.dc.com.
shop.dc.com. Yeah,
And
shop.dc.com.
we know that these things have been selling out wicked fast. So like, make sure you grab a hold of the one that you
But
like.
they also have other ones,
Um,
like they have like the Golden Age,
yeah,
shirts. They have the Fleischer. They have like the classic Kingdom Come. They have the
you can get the
red and
mug in
blue
different
logo
varieties.
hoodie.
Ooh, I
They
like
got
the
a whole
blue
bunch of
logo.
stuff. So they even have the fucking Superman Returns. Like, yeah, let's fucking go.
So the black one is on sale. So remember we were the kind of and that's not the same black one though. The black one with the current logo was a crew exclusive. Like I
Yeah.
think I remember somebody pointed that out in one of the comments.
I love
Um
that fugitive poster. It's on the very bottom, but that's fucking cool,
where
man. It's at the very bottom right. That's cool. I really like that. It looks like the fugitive, and it's $80. I'm not paying for that, but like I will say that's fucking awesome.
I mean
Very
there's some
bottom.
great merch here. Am I looking
Yeah,
for
right there.
this?
Yeah,
That
that's
is
fucking
nice.
cool. I mean, I
Very
love the
cool.
fugitive. Fugitive, great fucking movie. Amazing movie. I would fucking
Yeah.
buy that if I had the money. So,
But do
but
you
I'm
think
just
that's
buying a
what
shirt.
James Gunn will call his Batman Superman crossover? He wants it to be world's finest.
Yeah.
Um uh but yeah, all right, let's get back to some other comments here. So uh Sagidi X6122, sorry if you butchered your name there. He or she mentioned Patrick Schwarzenegger would make a good Hal Jordan, especially after seeing him as the Golden Boy in Boys Gen V. John, what do you think about this? Lex has been mentioning the same. In light of the news today, do you think Patrick Schwarzenegger is on that list past Josh Brolin?
I think he might be a little bit too young. Hang on. Uh, uh, I think he's in his 30s right now. Maybe he just hit 30, so he's a little bit too young. Maybe like a Kyle Rayner, if like that's who they're gonna go for. Maybe I think I could see him as that. But I think yeah, I don't think he's good for Hal Jordan in terms of who they want, at least.
Yeah,
I think he might be a little bit too young. But it's an
I
interesting
agree with you.
choice. I
It
haven't
is.
seen him in anything, so I don't know. But yeah.
Well, we also had JB commenting on, I think, his pick. He was like, while talking about Anson Mount as Hal Jordan, I'm reminded that there was an actor on Star Trek Strange New Worlds who plays a younger version of Kirk. You're right. Oh my God, who is that
I
guy?
think he might also be a
Um,
good Hal. It's Paul Wesley. The reason I wanted to talk about this, he also said, sorry, I forgot to mention his name, but we couldn't fit his entire comment into this bubble. Sorry, JP. But
yeah.
Paul Wesley is the name. The reason I wanted to mention this, I thought he would have been perfect for Green Arrow on if like the Arrowverse like got like rebooted and they recast everybody. I'm like Paul Wesley, he would be great. But I could definitely see him as Hal Jordan as well. Again, as I was saying before, like they kind of go hand in hand with each other. They're very similar characters. That's why they got a book together. So I think that would be really fucking cool. I would love to see him as Hal Jordan, and I think he's older now. So I know he was in Vampire Diaries and all that shit. But yeah, he's 42. He's like that perfect age. But the unfortunate part is I don't know if they would. I don't know if he's high caliber because I remember hearing a rumor that they want like an A-lister for Hal Jordan, and then they want like someone who's lesser known for Jon Stewart. Like Hal Jordan will bring in the views while Jon Stewart will maybe like bring in something else. Ray Fisher as Jon Stewart. Let's go, guys. But I think but yeah, Wayne T. Carr or Jon Stewart. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. But Paul Wesley is definitely a really good choice. That's who I wanted for Green Arrow for the longest time. But yeah, Hal Jordan too. Hal Jordan would be great. That's why I wanted to mention him because Paul Wesley would be good. He would be very good. I've heard he's good on Strange New Worlds. I never watched it. Looked kind of dumb, but
He's
take
great.
your
I
word for
think
it.
the biggest thing he doesn't try to do, he doesn't try to do an impression
Because
of
that would be a terrible impression. Because who
yes.
wants to impersonate William Shatner? Guys, there's something on the hood of the Enterprise. There's something out there. Look, it's a gremlin on the wing. Guys, we have to attack it on the wing. Cast me as a variant of James C. Kirk. Let's fucking go.
That is just so good.
There's something on the wing.
Yeah. Yeah. Bones. What is this man dead? Like, okay, I can't do it. I can't do the impression.
Bones.
But
He's your patient. Do it. I don't care if you're not. Heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a doctor. You're a patient. Heal.
Heal.
I forget what the line was, but I'm quoting
it's
something in
he's
something
dead,
in the
Jim.
dark.
He's dead, Jim. That was a big one. Okay. Great comments. I think so those were 3 of the comments. I do have another one, John, here. This one we actually put up in a graphic because it was too long to fit into one of the little banners. So let's put that one up. This is I mean, Kushi, you might like this one. John, do us the honors and would you read this for us from Daniel Keller, LW1EU. This is from when we were talking about Henry Cavill coming back to the DC, potentially as the Green Lantern.
So he was essentially saying, like, to Henry Cavill, stay out of the DCU. It's not for you. Gunn dug his grave, firing you from the Superman petition. Yes, he did fire him. It was more of a mutual agreement, but like, sure. Cavill didn't quit. Go listen to current online sources. Yeah, I'm sure they're like the same people that say like alpha males are like the greatest thing since sliced bread and how women aren't people. Yeah, I'm sure those are the same sources you have. Firing for this diaper infested garbage trash. Yes, that would be amazing. Pig that isn't even near Cavill's reputation or Superman's size. Only Gunn would pick a pipsqueak and give him a red diaper that his mom probably changes every time he craps himself. I mean, bro, pull up a picture of David Cordsweat, like post muscle, like dude is fucking huge. Like I don't know.
He was ripped. I remember this. I'm gonna have to find that picture somewhere.
Ripped.
Dude, I think I might have it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at him pre-Superman, fucking Christopher Reeve looked like a pipsqueak too. Fucking Henry Cavill had to pack on. I mean, he was muscular before then, but he had to pack on even more muscle for that.
I remember. I think there was some kind of picture of him in the gym, David Cornsweat. Remember when he rapped? He was like, "I'm gonna eat brownies now because I don't have to like keep myself in Superman shape."
Yeah,
which it's
DC's had plenty of good Superman in the past, or so DC's had plenty on good Superman in the past. It's time to change up a pattern. Snyder knew what he was doing. That's why he was fired. Going for a more darker, because that's great English. More darker. Let's go. But grounded approach. Yeah, that works for a guy who flies. Leading up to the 5-movie arc to bring Superman full circle to the side of becoming good. Okay, yeah, because that's what I want to see. I want to see Superman becoming good, not just, good from the get-go, because why not? and fully trusting. He's human. Why the fuck wouldn't he trust humanity? Then WB Gunn and his worshippers had to come in and take it, speed it up because they were too impatient and too scared of the next two Justice League movies, which I don't blame them. Only mature DC fans enjoy that kind of content. Yes, the ones who bully people into submission and shit on their tastes. Yeah, those are the fans that I want to be a part of. Nobody that doesn't Snyder like WB Gunn and his cronies, the current DCU and the immature Rotten Tomato. This guy needs to go and touch some fucking grass. This guy is. You need to calm down, sir. You really need to just go outside, just run your hand through some grass. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I didn't see that, but like weird choice. But yeah, bro, you need to cope. You need to cope harder, and you need to just accept the fact that this is a new direction. Snyder is a little tiny point in the vast ocean, a drop in the
I think we
vast
need to
ocean of
think bigger
Superman
because
history.
we need to think bigger because even Zack Snyder's stories, I think what he was trying to do with those movies was more limited in scale. It was epic, but it was more limited in scale. I think James Gunn is trying to create something that's going to go on for maybe decades and longer, like the MCU equivalent, where I think a DCEU was never quite set up to be that. But I still enjoyed most of the movies. I mean, I'm like not somebody who, I will defend a lot. I think Man of Steel was a fantastic movie. But if you want to compare physiques, by the way, which was one of the points you made, this is David Cornsweat in the gym for Superman. Look at those boulder shoulders and those arms. And then when you look at what Henry Cavill did, I'm like, both of these guys were in amazing shape, the best shape of their careers. So, all in all, I can't, you can't fault either of them. I think they both look great, quite frankly, and
Yeah, they
even
both
today.
look really good.
Dude, Henry Cavill was jacked as Cavalrine. Like the guy was like, you look at his back and you're like, yeah, we thought Hugh Jackman put on some muscle, and I'm like, then you see Henry Cavill, you're like, that's some next level shit. So,
Oh yeah.
you can't really go wrong, but yeah, I mean, you guys are continuing to send in more casting choices. Yeah, David Cornsweet does look like a damn offensive lineman. Football season is back. I can't wait for more football. But Henry Cavill is a Bizarro Superman. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the Watcher saying he said in an interview that he's interested. So Vincent D'Onofrio potentially as in the Swamp Thing. He could. We'll see. I mean, he's currently tied up with the Daredevil, and it looks like he might be moving on to other projects within the MCU. So maybe if Vincent D'Onofrio does get a chance to come over, yes, possibly. Keep David as Darkseid from Y Arc 9. Or Henry Cavill's Apollo. These are all good picks, guys. These are all good picks. And David Cornsweet could play for the Chiefs with that body. Yeah, maybe they need a tight end or a wide receiver, or maybe they just need him on defense. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that so many good comments from you guys, and if you haven't already, you know, do what Man of Steel Magnolia said. Omega beam that like button. Please do that. That will help us out with the algorithm, if you will. But we've got so much more to get into tomorrow with the Osa Curious show. We'll be live at, I believe it's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we're gonna have a lot more news from the world of DC. We're gonna get into some Marvel stuff. There's rumors that Moon Knight is gonna have a big role in Secret Wars. So we're gonna talk about that. There's some new pictures of Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby with Fantastic Four. They're shooting out in the UK. There's more DC side news about whether Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be in the Penguin series or not, if he's going to make a guest cameo or not. So the producers of the show had something to say about that. We also have the new commercial, the TV spot for the Joker Follow You Do, where Lady Gaga kind of describes, how she truly feels about Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. So we've got all of that to break down. So much more. We're gonna get into the latest news. Guys, speaking of superheroes, Ian McKellen might be coming back to the world of Lord of the Rings in the new series of movies that they're working on at Warner Brothers. So we're going to get into that as well. More fan casting choices from you, of course. We're going to dive into that later on in the week with some more Green Lantern choices that we want to dive into. We have other news coming in, hopefully, from James Gunn. We know that he wants his Superman Batman crossover to call World's Finest. So we'll get into all of that and so much more. And any other news that breaks from beyond that, we will dive into it as we always do. So if you are new to the channel and you haven't already, hit the like button or Omega beam that like button.
Yes,
or
sir.
Batarang the like button, whichever floats your
Beat the
boat. man.
ever-loving shit out of the like button. Make it give you a second like.
Just keep make sure you turn that gray thumb blue. And then of course, if you haven't already subscribed and then hit the notification bell, we'll be back with another show tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern time with Also Curious, and we're gonna have DCU Daily, MCU Weekly. We're gonna review a new Martin Lawrence and Casey Affleck movie called Slingshot. And we're gonna look ahead to Beetlejuice, Batman, of course.
I think you
Michael
meant
Caine
Lawrence
back in that
Fishburne.
one.
I think you said Martin Lawrence. It's Lawrence
Did
Fishburne.
I say that? Okay, Lawrence Fishburne. I'm sorry.
Wow, Dan. Do all black people look the same to you? Is that what you're saying? You're just confusing.
You're just putting words in my mouth. That's what you're doing. I was watching I was watching Bad Boys 4 the other day.
And you
so
were
that's
watching Man of
probably
Steel,
where-
so you have Lawrence.
I was.
So like,
I
but like,
was.
you should have Lawrence Fishburne on the mind because
I know. That's true. I literally just saw him yesterday. Okay. Anyway, I think on that bombshell, it's time to bring this show to a close. As always, guys. Oh, and yeah, we did talk about Josh Brolin and as Jonah Hex, Amazinishe. I don't know if I said your name right. By the way, Kushi, I'm Daniel. He's John. If you didn't catch our names earlier, did The Rock screw over Henry Cavill? Let us know in the comments.
But
below.
he was gonna make the DC hierarchy change.
He was
forever.
gonna change the hierarchy of the DCU. I mean, he certainly did. He did.
Just
the hierarchy
not
of the DCU
how he
definitely
envisioned.
changed.
That's
not
all.
how he envisioned it. But now he's back to changing the hierarchy of the WWE. I can't wait for that Bloodline Civil War where The Rock shows up on the side of the
I heard about
guys and then
CM
Roman
Punk.
Reigns.
Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah. He won his match. He was in Berlin.
But didn't he get pulled out by a stretcher or something? Didn't he?
No. He won. I don't know. I don't think so. He won his match. He had a whole thing anyway. But yeah, hey guys, the news of the day was Josh Brolin has been offered the role of Hal Jordan in the new Lantern series. He's gonna be the legendary Lantern who's gonna usher in the new rookie Green Lantern and John Stewart, who we don't yet know who they're looking to cast for that role. But we're gonna get into any more news that comes out regarding this, especially if Josh Brolin says yes, I want to take on this role, because again, he's only been offered this role according to the Insider and Nexus Point News. He still has the option to decline it, but if he does accept, then we'll talk about what that means.
I also just bought my Superman shirt. Boom.
Hey,
let's go.
Let's
fucking go. I also bought a mug. I was like, you know what? Let me get a mug.
I think the one with the blue handle is really good. I really love that one. I'm probably gonna get that one for myself. But hey guys,
take advantage of the 75% off sale, guys. Let's go.
Labor Day in the US. So we'll see you on the next episode of DCU Daily. We'll see you tomorrow on the Also Curious Show. Then we'll have a DCU Daily segment in there. And then later on tomorrow evening, we're going to dive into all the other news from the world of DC, the Penguin, Joker, Follow You Do, Superman, anything else that happens from this Josh Brolin story potentially coming into the DCU, anything James Gunn has to say, any news from Matt Reeves. Hopefully he'll finish his script now that he's got Labor Day weekend behind him for Batman Part 2. But we'll get into all of that and so much more. Until next time, guys. I don't know, Silver Lantern. That's a thing now apparently.
Green Lanterns might.
Green Lantern. All right, cool. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.